There are moments in life when everything you have worked for, everything you have loved, and everything you have believed in seems to fall apart. It feels as though the light has gone out of your world, and you are left standing in the ruins of what once was. You try to hold it together, but the pain of what you have lost keeps echoing through your mind, and you start to wonder, will anything good ever come out of this? Will my life ever feel whole again? But in the middle of that brokenness, there is a promise from God that speaks louder than your pain. He says in Joel 2:25, I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. This is not just a verse for ancient Israel. It is a timeless message for every heart that has ever faced loss, failure, or sorrow. It is God Himself saying that He will not let the story end in destruction. He will rebuild, renew, and redeem what was taken. People of Israel had watched their land being devoured by locusts. Everything they had depended on was gone. The crops were destroyed. The fields were empty. Their hope was fading. But God looked at their devastation and said, I will restore, not maybe, not someday, not if you earn it, but I will. He was declaring that His mercy is greater than any loss, and His grace has the final word. This same promise reaches across time to you today. God sees what the locusts have eaten in your life, the relationships that broke, the dreams that died, the seasons that were wasted, the tears you cried alone. And He says, I will restore the years that were lost, because I am still the same God. I am not finished with your story. God is a restorer by nature. He takes what the enemy meant for harm and turns it into a testimony of His power. He takes the ashes of our lives and breathes beauty into them again. When He restores, He does not merely replace what was taken. He transforms it into something better than before. He multiplies it until it overflows, because His restoration is not about returning to what you had. It is about revealing what He always planned to give you. The people in Joel's time had lost everything outwardly, but God began His work inwardly before the fields produced grain. He restored their faith before the trees bore fruit. He renewed their hearts. And that is where restoration always begins. It starts in the unseen places of the heart, where faith begins to rise again, and hope whispers that this is not the end. Sometimes the loss you go through is the soil in which God grows something stronger inside you. He allows seasons of emptiness so that He can fill them with His glory and remind you that your life is not built on what you lost, but on who He is. When Joel told the people to return to God with all their hearts, he was showing that restoration begins when we come back to the one who can heal us. When they turn back to Him, God promised to send the rain, the former and the latter rain, the outpouring that would make the ground fruitful again. The rain is symbolic of the Spirit of God moving over dry places in your life, making them alive again. So when you turn to God in surrender, He begins to pour out His rain upon the barren ground of your soul. He revives the parts of you that gave up. He awakens dreams you buried long ago, and He fills you with peace that surpasses understanding. Even before you see anything change around you, God begins His restoration within you. He strengthens you to believe again, because restoration always starts in the heart. Sometimes people think restoration means getting back everything they lost exactly as it was, but God's way of restoring is different. He gives back in a way that changes you. He uses loss to teach you what success never could. He uses pain to shape your compassion. He uses disappointment to deepen your trust. He uses waiting to mature your faith. And when the new season comes, you realize that you have not just received back what was lost. You have become someone stronger, wiser, and more anchored in His presence than ever before. Maybe you have gone through years that feel wasted. Maybe it feels like life passed you by while you were stuck in pain. Maybe you think the time is gone, but God says, I restore years, not just things. He can give you fruit in 1 year that makes up for 10. He can accelerate healing, success, and peace in ways you cannot imagine. Because He does not simply restore what you lost. He restores the time you lost and fills it with purpose. He redeems the timeline itself. There are people who feel that too much damage has been done, that they cannot recover from their past. But there is no pit too deep for God's hand to reach, no ruin too far gone for His grace to rebuild. He can make beauty rise out of ashes. He can make dry bones live again. He can turn your mourning into dancing and your weeping into joy. This is who He is, the God who restores. When we look at Scripture, we see this pattern again and again. Job lost everything, yet when he remained faithful, God restored him with double what he had before. Joseph was betrayed, forgotten, and imprisoned, yet God raised him up to become a ruler and used his story to save nations. Ruth lost her husband, her home, and her future, but God restored her life through His plan and made her part of the lineage of Jesus. every restoration story in the Bible is a reminder that no matter how dark your season, God has a plan for your comeback. The key is to keep your heart open to Him. While you wait, the temptation is to give up, to believe that what is lost will never return. But God works in the background, silently, steadily, and faithfully. When you least expect it, He brings the rain, and suddenly what looked dead begins to live again. Sometimes you will wake up one morning and realize that peace has returned, that joy has come back, that opportunities have opened, and that what once was broken now shines with beauty, because God restored it not by your strength, but by His mercy. When you hold on to faith in your darkest hour, you become a vessel for God's power. He delights in proving His faithfulness through those who refuse to quit. So, if you are standing in the ruins today, if you are looking at an empty field in your soul, remember that the same God who promised restoration in Joel is speaking to you. He has not forgotten the years that the locusts have eaten. He remembers the tears you shed, the prayers you whispered, the nights you felt alone, and He is working even now to redeem every moment of it. You may not see it yet, but the seeds of restoration are already planted under the soil, and when the season is right, they will burst forth with fruit in abundance, because what God promises He fulfills. The enemy wants you to believe that it is over, but it is not over until God says it is over. And He says, I will restore what you have lost. When you start to believe that word, you will see signs of new life, small beginnings that tell you He is at work. Maybe an unexpected opportunity, maybe reconciliation, maybe a renewed passion to serve Him. Those are signs of rain after the drought, and they remind you that the same God who spoke worlds into existence is breathing life into your situation again. He will restore what was stolen, and more than that, He will give you peace, joy, and strength that no loss can ever take away. Hold on to that promise today, because your season of restoration is coming. You will see the goodness of God in the land of the living, and when He finishes His work, you will understand that the loss was not punishment, but preparation. You had to go through what you did to become who you are now, and God will use even your scars to heal others. He will use your pain as a platform for His glory, and you will be able to stand and say, I thought it was over, but God restored my life. So, if you are watching this and your heart feels heavy, lift your eyes to heaven and whisper the words, I believe God will restore what I have lost, for He is faithful to perform His promise. He will restore your years, your peace, your joy, your strength, your purpose, and your hope. He will restore your broken family, your health, your faith, your confidence, and your dreams, and He will do it in such a way that everyone who sees your story will know that it was God who turned it all around. And when that day comes, you will look back and realize that not a single tear was wasted. Every moment of pain became a seed for the harvest of blessing you are about to see, because He is not the God of half restoration. He is the God of complete renewal. Your future is not behind you, it is ahead of you. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is working in your life right now, and He is saying, I will restore what you have lost. Stand on that word, declare it over your life, and walk in faith until you see it unfold, for He is the God who keeps His promises. He is the Redeemer, the Healer, the Restorer of souls, and His word never fails. He will restore what you have lost, and when He does, it will be far greater than anything you have ever known, because His restoration always carries more glory than the pain that preceded it.